Dear brothers, one of my fondest memories as a kid was on Wednesday nights. My dad had a basketball league that he played in with this ragamuffin group of local guys. They all had nicknames for each other and special talents, if you will, on the basketball court. Together, they were a pretty enjoyable and ridiculous group of guys to watch play basketball. I would sit on the first row of bleachers, dribbling a ball between my legs for the entire time, because if I didn't have a ball in my hands, I was probably doing something bad, and so it just kept me at bay. But I can remember watching my dad play, and it was as if he was playing for the national championship every week. He had one speed, and it was 100% go. He was rebounding like a maniac, boxing people out with reckless regard. He prided himself on being the best rebounder on the court and reminded me every week and what felt like every day how good he was at it when he was in high school, because he could go up, grab the rebound, turn, hit the outlet before his feet had even hit the ground. Or at least it's what he liked to tell me. Don't really know if I believe it or not. But even more than that, he would be communicating with all of these guys, telling them where to go. This whole slightly, and by slightly I mean very out of shape crew as they were, trying to get them to the right places on defense. And he was drawing up plays during timeouts. He was setting hard screens and diving on the floor for loose balls as a 40-year-old man. In hindsight, it's relatively funny to think about because it really was not the most impressive group of men ever playing basketball. Yet, that meant absolutely nothing to my dad. He was trying to be the best on the floor, or he was going to die trying. He truly thought that he was Larry Bird until the day he died. So, from a young age, I always saw my dad competing. Not just on the basketball court, but if he was with my godfather, for instance, they were competing at something. Racing snowmobiles, crashing dirt bikes, playing some video game during their lunch breaks, which I thought was the funniest thing in the world. It could be a card game or a church softball game on Sunday afternoons, or running around the local high school track where he liked to try to sprint faster than I could, or my ultimate favorite, playing one-on-one in the driveway together. It didn't matter if the hoop was lower, like when I was a kid, or when it became 10 feet tall when I got to high school. Not once did he ever let me win. He was a competitor, and he wanted me to always see the importance of competing. Not necessarily the cutthroat idea of competing. It was always more important than that. It was the fact that winning was something which must be earned. It's not given to you. Life is not full of handouts or participation trophies, contrary to popular belief in today's age. If you want to win, be it on the basketball court with a wild group of old men or in the business suite, you have to earn it. You compete to win always. But winning does not just mean the score at the end has you in the winner's seat. It's not just that my team beat your team. That's obviously a part of winning, but we forget the really important aspects of what winning means when that is the only thing that we're focusing on is balls and strikes. Even blind luck can help somebody get into the winner's circle, and there's nothing you can do about that. The real aspect of winning that my dad taught me and that I find far more important is, did I keep a promise to myself? Did I control every aspect that I could and let those I couldn't be what they are? Did I reflect on my past mistakes and make some necessary changes? Did I improve myself as much as possible and create the best opportunity to succeed? That is winning. And I didn't really realize that until much later on, but that was how my dad functioned. Everything was a process, and by being diligent in each part of that process, he was going to find a way to win on the scoreboard. But another type of winning that he showed me was how to win for other people. And what I mean by that is He was a voracious high school girls basketball coach, and he coached me in AAU, and he helped coach all my Little League baseball teams. He was pretty much a coach of everything you could think of under the sun. He was loud, he was aggressive, he was funny, and at times people absolutely, including myself, thought that he was completely insane. However, his players always knew he wanted them to succeed more than anything in the world. It wasn't like he was always coaching the most elite athletes that have ever lived. No doubt between my sisters and AAU teams and what have you, he had some good teams, but he was adamant that in the absence of even wins and losses, we were going to be strong, well-rounded individuals who loved to compete. He was a stickler for doing the little things at practice. He didn't care if we didn't make a shot that game. He cared if our defense was lacking, if our rebounding went away, or if our effort was less than our best. That was what he focused on. That was winning to him. In his eyes, winning meant being a servant and leading others, giving them opportunities to learn and grow and become the best versions of themselves. That was winning. As I thought more deeply about my old man, I also came upon another kind of winning that he did. There might be no greater form of winning than accepting the lot you have been given and fighting nonetheless. The only failure that can ever exist is when you choose not to fight. And I have always said that my dad won his battle with Lou Gehrig's disease. It did not define him, even though it certainly tried to each and every day, and sometimes it slipped through the cracks. But when you think of my dad, especially for people that knew him, you don't think of the guy that got unlucky with some shitty disease, which it is, by the way. You think of the guy who was bigger than life, loved to compete, loved to win, worked harder than anyone, loved his children fiercely, and gave the greatest hugs you've ever had. I watched that man compete not only in basketball or as a coach or on a dirt bike or playing a video game or as a blue-collar worker or even as a dad making sure his son always knew his place in the pecking order on the basketball court. I watched him compete against the physical reality of illness, compete against his want to give up and throw in the towel, compete against his anger at God, amongst other things. He competed to show that even amongst something terrible, fighting and showing faith was all that really matters. My old man was not perfect at this, but as I have told many people, as it has been told to me, there is no handbook for facing the certain death that illness provides you, besides the good book. And even then, you can still feel at a loss and anxious and nervous and want to give up. But by watching him compete during that short time I was so blessed to have him on this earth, I learned what it meant to be a winner. That is a learned behavior, boys. The most important people who are going to learn from you as men are your children first, and then the young people in the world. And may I remind you all that they are learning from a very young age. We are starting to form memories that we can remember by the age of 3. Don't forget that. Make sure that your children or other young people, specifically young men, are seeing you compete in sports. Sports, anything. Be it sports, getting up early to work out before the sun rises, improving yourself in your line of work, playing a card game, dealing with a problem in your finances, having to make some kind of sacrifice, or just playing pickup basketball in the driveway. Now, in fairness, you don't have to be a dickhead about it or show some excessive level of ego. Don't confuse hubris with confidence. At times, my dad tilted on the hubris side there. But make sure your kids see you competing against the difficulties of life. There are few more important lessons that they can learn and that they will bring with them through the rest of their lives than that. I am so grateful, and I thank God every day for the amazing man that I got to watch compete. I can right now see him doing his patented back down from the right side of the lane, pump faking left, pivoting on his right, and hitting a little fadeaway jumper off the glass from 10 feet. Then he'd walk back to the top of the key of our driveway with this big smirk on his face, basically just letting me know that Dad still has the goods and you aren't there yet, little man. I love that man immensely. I miss him, and I pray that I can emulate him myself as my life goes on. And I pray that all of you can take a lesson from him that is as important as anything. Number one, never let your kids beat you in the driveway. And number two, make sure that they always are getting after it and they are watching you compete. God bless. I love all of you. Be strong. Let's get after it, boys.